and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me, back from New York, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? Yeah, it was a fun time out there. I had a little bit of difficulties watching the race this past Sunday, but I was definitely keeping tabs and reluctantly being excited that Joey Logano was leading over half the race, only to see that he finished outside the top five. I was, to say the least, pretty disappointed that he could not get inside that number there.
Yeah, we'll definitely recap all that was Richmond, as well as look ahead to Watkins Glen this week, give you guys our best bets prior to qualifying, the names that you need to be on. But before we do any of that, Brian, it's time to give away this Christopher Bell mini helmet. I've tried once. The person never got in contact with me. This is option number 2. If I'm going to start giving it away, if the person doesn't win, I'm going to pick another person off the list. If that person doesn't get in touch with me, then I'm just going to send it to Brian, because at this point I'm trying and people aren't following through. So let's pick a winner. Jacob Edward Fry, you are our winner. Please send me you at Notorious KRO on Twitter is going to be the easiest way. If you don't have a Twitter account, let me know in the comments of this video and I can send you an email. I can give you my email or something. We'll figure it out. But just create a Twitter account, send me a DM, and I will get that Christopher Bell mini helmet sent off to you. Once again,
that guy
Jacob
winning
Fry.
all over the place. He had that Bubba top 10.
Yeah, he's just coming up. Everything's looking green for Jacob. So Jacob, get in touch with me. Brian at Greasy Rules 14 is also on Twitter. Get in touch with one of us. Get us your address. We will send that to you free of charge. Thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying, and
yes,
good job on the Bubba top 10. Speaking of bets, let's talk our bets. Let's talk all that was the Federated Auto Parts 400. As you mentioned, a interesting race, a fun but very frustrating at the end race. Joey Logano dominated stage 1 and 2, led over 200 laps, and by stage 3 he turned into a cement block and started sinking through the field. It's fun when you have a top 5 on Joey Logano and he finishes 6th after dominating the race. And as you know, Brian, it's fun when you have a William Byron top 10. He is right there and he finishes 11th.
Well, what's even worse about the Byron thing is that, like Logano, he was running inside the top 5 for the majority of like the first half of the race.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was at a pool, but like I was telling you before recording, like I kept checking it and I was sitting there just thinking to myself, holy crap, William Byron is finally going to crack that top 5 for the 4th time this season, only to see that he couldn't even get inside the top 10, making it his 8th consecutive race not doing so.
Yeah. That's not what you're looking for. Although we have talked a lot about him as either he's first or last, and of course this is the race he gets 11th. But so interesting race. Frustrating on those guys, but I still feel good about my Byron outright. Didn't go too crazy on the card this week. Obviously we because of traveling and other stuff, couldn't get a show in on the weekend. We're going to really work hard to get one for you guys this week, but fantasy football season is upon us. Brian has a home league draft on Saturday. I also have a home league draft on Saturday. So our plan is to record after qualifying, assuming we can get some lines up. We might have to just kind of do
like a recap or something.
Yeah, or our options are either do something before all the lines go up and just get something out there, or we can record some YouTube shorts and just get you our best bets. So let us know down in the comments if you have a preference. or we can just tweet stuff out. But our ultimate goal is to record everything, get it all in, and get it all out for you. It's just it takes time. We have to wait till the lines get up. We have to wait till all that stuff's ready, and then we have to record it. I edit it. I post produce it, all that stuff. So there is a lot that goes into it, and we could do Sunday mornings, but us West Coasters, by the time it gets out to you, you'd have basically an hour to watch it. So it really is an interesting dilemma, but we'll definitely get you something. So please check back, and for those that have subscribed that are enjoying our content, we really appreciate you. We're up over 450 subs now, rapidly approaching 500. Thanks to everybody who's been here along the way, and Brian and I are rolling. So yeah, I got Logano top 10. I had Byron over Bubba, which was nice.
That one had to have been like one of the easiest wagers that they really could have posted, because I added it to the card on Sunday morning. Actually, there is just no reason to think that Bubba, who he had never really done well there, was going to perform well. And Byron, he had such a good starting position on the grid that you just had a feeling that was going to hit.
Yep. And then head over to your card. You had Byron over Bubba as well. You had Hamlin over Larson. You had Hamlin over Truex, which is a nice call. And you also had the Logano top 10. I'm looking up on my book. I had a nice head-to-head. I thought, oh, no, it is on here. Duh. Harvick over Hamlin. Plus 215, Brian. That's what they hung. I think I got it on Sunday plus 190, maybe 180, 190. But plus 215 for Harvick to beat Hamlin, which happened. Obviously, it would have been much nicer to have that like 15-1 outright as he won the race. But I liked Harvick this week. We talked about, it's interesting because we talked about, well, he hadn't won in 65 races. So obviously, going back to back, that seems crazy. But if you think about him getting 2 wins over the course of 67 races, that doesn't seem that wild, right? It seems, that
I don't know,
sense.
man. That still seems like
Seems aggressive.
Too little. I mean, for the caliber of racer that Harvick has been pretty much over the duration of his career, you would think he would have 2 races in 20 or he would have 2 wins in 20 races,
but
not 2 in 67.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he definitely proved a lot of people wrong. He proved me wrong coming back with another victory. I was also very intrigued by that Harvick over Hamlin matchup, but with me thinking so highly of Hamlin coming into the race, I couldn't basically bet against myself and bet it. That's just not good practice when you're going to the sports book, even with a number like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's when you have the outright on the card and you have high expectations, and you're obviously, think Harvick can have a nice week, but not that good of a week. It's hard to put it on the card. But I'm happy I did. It was a big part of my week, and rolling through it. So really happy to have it. As you can see, our updated numbers since the All-Star race, Brian and I have been chugging along. Brian is up 10, almost 11 units. I'm up 6.5 units.
Thanks to Kevin Harvick.
Thanks to Kevin Harvick. Thanks to Chase Elliott. We've got definitely found our form, hit our stride since the All-Star race, and keep finding ways to keep that total in the green. So let's keep it going this week, Brian, as we head to the final road course, the second to last race of the NASCAR season. How wild is that?
Incredible, man.
Like,
I mean,
I guess the regular season, but yeah,
the playoffs are right there, and there are going to be guys who are either maneuvering for position, or like a guy like Martin Truex who's on the outside looking in, trying to make that happen this week, because we're going to Daytona next week, and nobody wants to have to win at that track.
Yeah, and like for drivers like Martin Truex, like Ryan Blaney, who are flirting with that cut line, Daytona's not exactly their like go-to track either. It's not like their road, they're super speedway ringers that have a really good chance there. So it's something that this week is really, really important, and I think the lines will kind of reflect that. But let's dive into it and let's work through some of these names. Obviously, Chase Elliott is your favorite, and for a good reason. But right behind him, Brian, Tyler Reddick, the road course ringer. This guy has been very, very good on road courses for somebody that traditionally doesn't do well. Obviously, won at Road America, was top 5 at Coda. Has had some decent form at this track despite not being that great. And he is 6-1 to win the race. And I guess my thought there, Brian, is the first thing that I think of is if you like him at 6-1, you should be betting him to win the NASCAR Cup at 12-1 too, because if he wins this race, that number is probably going to end up at 6 or 7-1 to win the NASCAR championship.
I love that thought process there. Now, I will push back on this, just saying, like, Reddick was great the last 2 road courses, but he did have some difficulties at the first 2 on the season. His one Cup Series event here was a 10th place finish last year, and his 2 performances in Xfinity were, I think, like a 13th and a 5th. So it's not like he's gangbusters at this track. And he's coming into this weekend with his last 2 finishes being 29th and above 30th. So, he's kind of faltered the last 2 races after notching his second win on the season. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to put together the kind of speed that we saw at Elkhart Lake a couple of weeks ago, where he would just basically ran away from everybody.
Yep.
So it's 6-1. He's been great at the 2 road courses that he won, but it's hard to get there for a guy who it's this season. Like it's one season that he's shown this.
I don't know. I think that's completely fair. I think the way I would approach it if I was on Tyler this week is I would probably bet the Cup price at 12-1 and then hope he doesn't qualify quite as well, and maybe you get a 7 or 8-1, or maybe you get a Larson qualifies better, Truex qualifies better, and he just falls back just enough and get a little bit better of a number on race day. So that's kind of where my head's at. But head-to-head market is a good place to get in now, especially if you find numbers that you like. But yeah, I think your points are valid. Obviously has improved significantly, but still has a way to go. And but is being priced accordingly. Let's dump into the next range where we have Kyle Larson at 9-1, pretty much across the board. Chastain at 9-1, 10-1, who it's been a little bit of a rough showing of him for him of late, but could be a nice spot for him to rebound just in time as we get ready to head to the playoffs, a spot where you and I are gonna be rooting like hell for him to cash that ticket for us. Austin Cindric 10-1, 12-1. Daniel Suarez 12-1 obviously has the win at Sonoma. And then Ryan Blaney, I'll cut it there at 12 or 13 or 14. I mean, that 14 is a decent number, but this kind of range. What are your thoughts? Anyone here garnering interest for you on the outright?
I'm going to go to the very bottom of that again. I mean, I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. Ryan Blaney is still putting together tremendous races. I mean, the last road track we were at, he was running inside the top 3. I mean, he was runner-up pretty much the whole day. And then he took the lead on that late pit stop where he didn't take any tires. And then he wound up getting crashed out of the race, crushing all of my Ryan Blaney wagers on that day. But, I mean, he's done it on the track.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who is still in need of his first win to guarantee his spot in the playoffs. So, I mean, when you're looking at somebody who's going to be making kind of aggressive and risky decisions that could ultimately pay off at the end of the day, that's a guy like Blaney. And at 14-1 at BetMGM or PointsBet, that is definitely a number I could see myself getting onto.
Yeah, I like that call quite a bit. Definitely holding outright on him to win the championship too. So would really love to see him get into the playoffs. So I have a couple bullets going because he has been great, and points wise, he's right there. It's just he doesn't have the win outside of the one race that doesn't count. So very, very on brand for him. Suarez is always interesting. Obviously has been really good on road courses, and we talk about Trackhouse, and it's interesting to see the two Trackhouse drivers priced so close together for this race. Usually there's a little bit of a difference between the two. The next range I think gets really interesting. Chase Briscoe is being priced up a little bit this week, a number that may seem a little aggressive to some, but I think based on the track record of, hey, this guy doesn't seem to fit in this zone, could be one of the interesting names to get to. Obviously already has a win this year, has looked decent at some of our road course runs. AJ Allmendinger, the road course maven, has improved of late. Our guy Christopher Bell, Truex at 20-1 is a number that, for a guy that's ran well here, that clearly needs the win, that's going to be going hard for it, 20-1 is a number that might start my outright card.
Martin Truex Jr., this is like the first week in a really long time that I might find myself actually betting on his side. I mean,
Yep.
4 consecutive top 3 finishes at the Glen. I know we're in the next gen car, but I mean, that just goes to show you how good he is at this track. He's been pretty good for him not being in the playoff talk right now, or being in a playoff spot. I think he's finished 4 of the last 5 races inside the top 10 coming into this Sunday. So it's not like he's driving bad. It's just he's not finishing ahead of the guys that are above him in the standings, and he needs that victory. And again, we had the same conversation with Blaney. He's going to be doing everything possible to gain an advantage on the track this weekend and driving uber aggressively with the intention of trying to win the race. So getting him at 20-1, knowing he's probably going to qualify well, he's not going to be playing this safe whatsoever. So you run the risk of him crashing out. But I mean, you're looking at a high spot of him winning the race at 20-1. That's a ridiculous number.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit of a rough transition for him for sure. But as you mentioned, as of late, much better performances. 7th at Richmond, 6th at Michigan, 7th at Pocono, 4th at New Hampshire. Has been interesting, but his road course performances: Indy Road Course 21st, Road America 13th, Sonoma 26th. It hasn't been there, and it might just be kind of the beginning of the next phase of Martin Truex's career, and we might just have to deal with that. So we'll go into the next section where I think things get really interesting. Back-to-back winner. Can Kevin Harvick three-peat, Brian, at 25-1?
Absolutely not. There is no chance in hell that he's doing that again.
God, I want him to win this weekend so bad.
That would be pretty incredible, honestly.
Yeah. So Harvick, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Buescher. Look at those numbers.
So Buescher, I think he's top 10 in 3 of the 4 road courses this season. So he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I don't necessarily think he was one of the 10 best drivers during those races. It's just that he kind of was able to avoid his teammate Brad Keselowski from crashing him out, and any other problems on the track to help him, get inside that number at the end of the race. So he's a guy I'm not going to the outright board, but definitely in like the placement market to shop those numbers. And then it's interesting to see Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin so far down the list when the last 3 races to this track, JGR has posted 3 of their cars inside the top 5 finishers. Yeah. And I know that the next gen car hasn't necessarily been the same for all of these manufacturers at tracks that they were previously good at, but that's not that. I don't really believe in coincidences, to quote Jethro Gibbs on NCIS, but like there's definitely something to that these teams are familiar with certain tracks. They know how to set up their cars. And I think that's likely to happen again. And if anybody is going to finish in that spot and potentially win a race, a guy like Kyle Busch, who has been struggling, could be in that same conversation as Blaney and Truex and pushing really hard for a win.
And we've talked a little bit about Kyle Busch, kind of the weird predicament he's in and how he might be going somewhere else next year, even though the JGR thing seems to be going well. And I think JGR really wants to get Ty Gibbs into a ride. So I'm with you. I don't know that I'll necessarily get an outright from this range, but I think Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, and potentially Kyle Busch will all find a home on my betting card, probably top 5s, top 10s. Because even like I'm looking at, what Kevin Harvick has done over the course of the year at these road courses, and it's a lot of top 10s, flirting with top 5s. And thankfully DraftKings, our friends over at DraftKings, have them priced at 25-1. It makes that top 10, that top 5 very easy to squeeze onto the card. So the next range, really interesting names as well. William Byron at 30, Logano at 30, Alex
There's your boy,
Bowman
Alex Bowman.
42. Just when I think I'm out, Brian, he pulls me back in.
At that point, you're just betting the number because,
and that's what I do.
He's definitely a good enough driver to potentially get a victory here. Kind of like you mentioned with Martin Truex Jr. and his performances on the road courses this season. Bowman definitely hasn't been very good, but he is somebody who could pop. So 42-1, that's a number that's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
He's probably priced fairly, and I should just turn away and run, but we'll see. I feel like that's something as the week progresses, I feel like I get more involved in. I think the rest of these names are definitely not ones we should be considering. I do think our friend Bubba might be due for another nice performance for us again this week. So let's leave the outright market. Let's head to top 10s and let's see if we can find some fun numbers to throw on the card, because I think that's where we're going to have the most fun this week. I think there's a lot of potential there, and we'll see what we can do. So obviously some of these numbers are going to be pretty big. Truex at -140 to top 10 is kind of interesting, but once again, it just his history in the new car it's just not where it needs to be.
That's going on there for me. I'm doing it.
I'm
partying with Marty.
Have a Marty party this week, my friend. Like I said, it's something that makes sense, but man, it's hard to get to. Christopher Bell at -145. Kevin Harvick at -110 to top 10. That is absolutely going on the card. How are they still pricing him like that?
Because he's Kevin Harvick.
I'm not asking him to win. I'm just asking him to top 10. Same with Christopher Buescher. Oh, and
are we believing that he's going to do what he did the last 2 weeks? And he's been as consistent as anybody at being mediocre and finishing near or inside the top 10 this year. But the wheels have got to fall off eventually after going that long without notching a victory. I just don't know if I could continue to get there with him.
I'm going to ride it until the wheels fall off. I'm not asking him. I'm not taking that 25-1, but my God, -110 to top 10 for a guy who's been as solid and consistent all year long, even at road courses. Thank you. Sign me up. Yeah, I added Buescher and Harvick top 10s. I feel like those are good numbers. What is our friend Cole Custer plus 350?
No, don't do it.
Don't do it. Bubba Wallace plus 430. Thank you very much. I will
that's definitely going on there. That's too big of a number.
I mean, it's not the 15-1 we got last time, but it's 430. I can deal with that for sure.
I'm really intrigued about Eric Jones too, because he among the 3 drivers to finish in the top 10 or in the top 5 at this track with JGR, Eric Jones was one of them. I think it was 2018. So it's interesting that he's been kind of driving better of late. So he's getting a really big number. He's obviously had past success at this track, and he's shown speed at times this year. And at almost 4-1, that's betting the number as opposed to just the driver.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. Trying to convince myself that Cole Custer is worth a bet here, but he qualified well. His results aren't exactly what you're looking for. Yeah. I probably shouldn't. Any of these insane numbers you want to get to? So it looks like Kurt Busch is probably back this week, and Ty Dillon's back in his ride. Or what? Because I didn't see Kurt.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on Kurt Busch today.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at it, man. I love my boy Corey LaJoy, but
Remind me on Sunday or whenever we chat to not put this guy in my DraftKings lineup just because he was an F1 driver. Because my God, he was shit last time.
well, I mean, considering it was his first time in a Cup car.
Oh yeah, no, it's completely on me. I shouldn't have done that. So, but I'll probably convince myself that it's the move, and then be scratching my head wondering what the hell I was thinking on Sunday. But Almirola started 21st, got 14th at Sonoma. Let's see, at Road America, not so much. Finished 28th. And at Coda, man, Alex Bowman was good at Coda. That was months ago.
I mean, the dinger at less than he's minus 130 to top 10.
Kind of like
He's always
that.
a threat at these road courses.
Yeah, I'm adding that too. Because that feels like a number that we could lose once he qualifies well.
Oh, for sure.
I will add that. Let's look at our friendly top 5 market and see if there's not any compelling options there. Chase Elliott to top 5 at minus 140. Reddick at minus 120 to top 5. Kind of like that. Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney at top 5 plus 180. Dinger to plus 180 to top 5.
I mean, Hamlin and Bush plus 350.
Yeah.
The
Harvick
same number as Chris Buescher. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think that's just more about what Buescher is than what it says about what the other guys are. But yeah.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Alex Bowman, 5-1, the top 5. Woo!
Don't do it. How could they post a number like that on Keselowski?
Because they want, I don't know.
Honestly, give me Jones over Keselowski. I don't.
I'm sure that's a bet we can take advantage of. Bubba's 12-1, 16-1 to top 5. All right, let's find our head-to-heads and see if we can't get some good numbers. Dinger minus 105 versus Briscoe. I'm always good at fading Chase Briscoe. Christopher Bell. Harvick versus the Dinger.
Ooh. Bell over Briscoe, I got minus 120.
I am taking Harvick over Blaney at plus 140. If
That's
there's
a good
anyone
number
that
once
showed
again.
me
But
they should not be a massive favorite in a head-to-head, it's Ryan Blaney. Just because his pit crew or something will happen and he'll finish 11th.
that's so messed up.
Yeah. Well, but you can't say I'm wrong.
That's very
Christopher
true.
Buescher minus 130 over Michael McDowell. Kind of like
Hey,
that.
McDowell's been sneaking into those good finishing spots, though.
He really has. He's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's been a lot better than what we've seen
This
of
is
late.
fun. Gilliland versus Harrison Burton.
Ooh, Denny over Bush again.
Yeah.
There's not a lot on the board that's super
No.
intriguing.
The
I will
head-to-head
say,
market is not what it normally is. I feel like DraftKings has been much better about giving us
yeah,
more options. I'll look on here while you finish your point.
I was gonna say so. Honestly, if the number wasn't so short, I'd probably just be hammering Chase Elliott. to win here. He has the top average speed ranking at the road courses this year. He's literally the road course king. He hasn't won at a road course all season, or in like the last 6 or 7 events at these tracks. Reddick passed him up earlier in the season for Reddick's first win, and then Elliott couldn't quite keep up the last time we were out. I think it was Indy. I got a feeling that Chase Elliott is going to be running really strong, qualifying probably inside the top 2 rows, and then Sunday it's just going to be him from the front, leading like we did in 2018 and 2019 when he won back-to-back races at this track, and he led 80 laps during his last win of the 90 on the race.
Yeah. So this is interesting. BetMGM and DraftKings have the exact opposite, favorite. I wish there was more Chase Elliott head-to-heads. I feel like that we could, be a good spot to kind of corner the market. But outside of their head-to-head with Reddick, I don't really see much. Minus 120, 125.
I'm sure we'll probably get more after qualifying and stuff when
that's true.
When the running order is kind of a little bit different.
What if I do top 3? Yeah, plus 140 to top 3. That's not bad.
I would probably just rather lay the extra juice and go with him on a top 5 at minus 140 because you're getting 2 extra spots. It's really not that lofty of odds to overcome by having to bet as much. And he's just so good at road courses.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to add a head-to-head or an outright or two, but like I don't know where to go. I think I'm going to be patient.
I have a feeling that if Reddick doesn't qualify like in the top 5, his number's probably slipping a bit. So I think for him, he's kind of a wait. Whereas like an Elliott, if he qualifies on pole, that number's probably shrinking down to like 350 or 4.
Yep. Blaney, I could see his number shrinking pretty sizably. I feel like everyone else is, unless like Truex has an amazing qualifying or something, most people are going to be about where they are. So let's recap where we are, give the people a best bet, and then we can recap as we get into next week. So tell everybody your betting card, Brian, and then give them your best bet.
All right, so I got 2 outrights on the card, and these are just simply based on like situational bets here with both Blaney and Truex really needing a victory and being pretty good at road courses, and the numbers are far too good to pass up prior to qualifying. Truex Jr. to top 10 at minus 140. That seems like a great bet at the moment. We'll see come Sunday. The Bubba number at plus 430. It's not that 15-1 that we hit on a couple of weeks ago, but it's still a great number. Eric Jones also top 10 plus 380. He hasn't top 10 at road courses lately, but he's got the speed to potentially do that. And then the only matchup I added was Christopher Bell, who continues to show why JGR is committed to him, and over Chase Briscoe, who he's just so up and down. You cannot rely on him even finishing a race at this moment.
No, I think that's very fair. And like I said, fading Briscoe is one of my favorite things to do on the head-to-head market. I have Kevin Harvick top 10. I have Christopher Buescher top 10. I have Bubba Wallace top 10, and I have AJ Allmendinger top 10. I also have Kevin Harvick over Ryan Blaney just because it's plus 140. I feel like that's a good number. I'm on Kevin Harvick this week to have a solid race. I think he can get 5th, 6th, 7th, beat Ryan Blaney and cash that for me. Brian Twining, what is your best bet for as we sit here today on Thursday?
Well, I'm going to party with Marty with that top 10 at minus 140. He's got to continue to finish well to even stay afloat in the playoff hopes. And I think it's going to be this week. I think we see him finish inside the top 5 even, maybe even potentially cash that 20-1 number for me. But minus 140 to top 10, I think that number is too good to pass up. And I'm going to make that a full 5-unit wager.
Woo! Now we're cooking with gas, ladies and gents. Love that call. I think it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I guess my only concern is that Harvick really needs the win. And if he's really pushing for it and things go sideways and he finishes like 14th or something, that could be frustrating, but I think that's the right call. I'm on Kevin Harvick. Back-to-back wins. He's going to keep the streak rolling. Minus 110. Just give me that top 10, Kevin. I don't need it. I don't need you to win. Don't need you to top 5. Just give me that top 10. We'll call it a day. And we'll cash this ticket and we'll keep that bank account in the green. So for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy qualifying. And we will try and get back to you with more picks between now or after qualifying, before the race, to give you more winners. We want to keep that ball rolling. And we'll talk to you guys next time.